all you read is this very high heat, just devastating everything in a single blast. Yeah, that's a high-tech weapon.
The scriptures of the Sumerians are encoded with critical sacred geometric numbers that are keys to deeper levels of knowledge and information about our world, about our solar system, about our cosmos, and the nature of that reality, by the way, which has been changing rapidly in my own mind as I do more research about where we live, what our world really looks like, and what our cosmos looks like around us. And again, I'm reaching the conclusion that it's not what we think and not what we're being shown by our authorities.
Myths from the past seem to be saying that the extraterrestrials we're dealing with are, for the most part, benevolent toward the human race. Are there any incidents from the past that would show us that this idea may not always be true?
The most disturbing thing I came across
Who's here?
when I did my research.
Show yourself.
The whole subject of the gods of Eden.
Show yourself.
Were the reports of bright lights appearing.
Are you one?
Spraying gases appearing in the streets.
Why you keep on wetting me?
That were visible. And as soon as they passed through the streets, people would come down with a plague. These weird figures in black appearing on the outskirts of villages with instruments. They used to think they were scythes. That's what they called them. And they'd wave them around, and all of a sudden the plague would break out in this area. That was not any UFO book I'd ever seen up until that time, and it just so disturbed me. But when I came across that and it was so consistent, I just felt like I just couldn't withhold this because I knew what was going to happen. I was going to put this book back on the shelf at the library where I found it. A book that, it was just on the Black Death. This was not a conspiracy book. It was not a UFO book. It was just, just what people were reporting and the omens they said were happening. And I knew if I put that book up on the shelf without ever publishing them, it may never come to light. Maybe eventually it would. So I felt I had a duty at least to point that out. Now, that doesn't mean that every outbreak of the plague at every place was caused by that, because the plague was contagious. So it also did, like modern biological weapons. Modern biological weapons are in canisters, they're on aerosols, which people in those days called mist. Sometimes those aerosols are visible, they're sprayed. But then once the population is sprayed, then you can count on the plague then just riding its own course for a while. It'll just spread because it is a contagious disease. So no, not every outbreak of the Black Death was caused by a spraying, but they reported that the spraying was the start of it, and that shows exactly how a bioweapon today would work. And then they use the contagion, and then when it starts to die down, well, you spray again, you get more reports then.
I believe I have deep spiritual feelings, probably the best description, that the Anunnaki realized that the senior members of the Anunnaki family, whatever that family may be, Enki, Enlil, and those in that kind of bracket of the Anunnaki, realized that they screwed up. Maybe not intentionally, but they realized that they created a platform which could be abused by the beings of lower consciousness. And that's exactly what happened. So whatever the situation they created on this planet, in this world of ours, was abused or was open to abuse by the beings of lower consciousness. And I think that's what happened. Now the Anunnaki realized that their actions have actually backfired on them and is affecting their own survival because of the whole prime directive principle, right? Do not mess with the species and their consciousness, evolution of consciousness. You need to allow them to evolve consciously so that they can grow and reunite with Source, with the Source code, and realize that we are one with everything in creation and become gods ourselves again. Anunnaki created the opportunity for other beings to invade and stop that process. So that has affected their level of evolution of consciousness and started possibly an inward spiral of decay and destruction within the Anunnaki breed or species. Because if you reach the prime directive, as Star Trek has shown us for so many decades now, you start to begin the process of your own demise. And I think that's what's happening with Anunnaki. And they realize if they don't come back here and fix the mistakes or solve or repair and help humanity to stop the decay and the abuse of the human race, devolving until they all disappear and they basically get recycled into the great creative process. The Anunnaki are here kicking butt, getting rid of all the dark and negative entities that have infiltrated and invaded our space, invaded our bodies, overtaken humans and turned them into beasts, and turned some people on this planet into evil entities that are completely undermining the human spirit of creativity and creation, because that's what ultimately humans want to do. All we want to do is create, be creative, and contribute to our fellow brothers and sisters. So I believe the Anunnaki are back and doing everything they can from a position of never being physically visible, because they would just scare the out of people. You can just imagine. So they're doing it from a realm just outside of our visible perspective.
Announcing an epic partnership between the Cleveland Cavaliers, champions of basketball, and Molina Healthcare, champions of healthcare. Together, bringing you a healthy lead in the game of life. We're here for you, Ohio.
Helping us to channel us in the right direction and clearing the space of all the dark entities that have made our life and our world so bloody miserable.
Once the human race as a whole realizes that it is not alone in the universe, we can then take our place amongst the many species and groups that occupy the galaxies. Perhaps we have to begin repairing the damage done to our planet, stop fighting one another, and begin to understand who we really are and what we can accomplish if we desire. Perhaps if we start there, then an extraterrestrial presence will make itself known to all.
The world is very ancient, and human origins are mysterious and obscure. We try to decipher our past based upon the multiple layers of civilizations whose ruins lay strewn across the planet like pieces of an archaic jigsaw puzzle. Some of these old civilizations are still buried beneath the deserts, mountains, and oceans, awaiting a time when they will yield their secrets through human discovery or natural cataclysms that will strip away and reveal their hidden locations. In the unique perspective on history that will be explored in this series, the case for a vaster chronological perspective of history will be investigated, based upon ancient sources hitherto unrecognized by the majority. With limited tools at the disposal of modern sciences, history has been abbreviated into a narrow band that does not sufficiently explain the vast time periods needed to evolve the human form and human consciousness. Deep in our racial memory or collective consciousness lurks the legends and myths of lands and continents that once existed, such as Lemuria and Atlantis. Fabulous stories abound of advanced cultures with their arts and technologies that have risen to great heights and then fallen back into the dust of history once again. Understanding
¿Dónde?
the rhythms and cycles of time help us to understand that our modern civilizations are not the first to have emerged, nor are they necessarily more advanced than previous ones that have come and gone. This new approach to history challenges the way we think about the past based upon our cultural, religious, and educational conditioning. These structures have helped humanity thus far understand the world, but which in today's rapid acceleration of planetary consciousness are very limited and starting to break down. They are overdue for transformation into a broader, more inclusive vision. The possibility of discovering and understanding the origin of the human soul and its divine pedigree is imminent in our time. We stand before a doorway leading to planetary illumination upon the greatest mysteries of life, the hidden history of humanity.
The intention of the Hidden History of Humanity project is to re-establish the correct chronology and timelines for human history. That's part of it. The other part of it is that humanity is disempowered in not knowing its true origins or indeed the chronology. So to establish the correct chronology and the understanding of the root races, how humanity came into being, and how the evolution of consciousness proceeded from there, is going to empower humanity with knowing the truth. Humanity is having the truth hidden from it at this point in time, but it is actually emerging. We have light emerging, we have truth emerging, and this is happening exoterically in parallel with this esoteric emergence of the ageless wisdom and teachings.
Part of the intention of the Hidden History of Humanity series is to present a chronological sequence of history that demonstrates the evolution of consciousness by humanity, the mystery of when the human soul came into existence and its purpose. This first series will establish a broad structure of understanding for the future series that will elaborate further. Evolution will be traced from before the human race appeared through the stages of the Lemurian, Atlantean, and current root races. It will finish with contemporary humanity that is now transitioning into the sixth root race. It will discuss the evolution that will unfold in the future, always in the context of what has transpired. It has been said that unless we understand our history, then we are condemned to repeat the mistakes of the past. the scientific side, several key areas will be explored in this history of the root races, such as geology, geography, astronomy, archaeology, and anthropology. From the religious angle, some of the most ancient works will be referenced: the Hindu, Jewish, Persian, Islamic, Buddhist, Gnostic, Celtic, and Christian traditions. Investigating the hidden history of the world means that we must return to discover the birth of the solar system, of which our Earth is but one participant. Stupendous questions will be explored as to how this solar system came into existence, with its subsequent planetary schemes, chains, realms, and globes.
Modern science insists upon the doctrine of evolution. So does human reason and the secret doctrine. The idea is corroborated in ancient legends and myths, and even by the Bible when it is interpreted esoterically. We see a bud slowly developing from a seed and a flower from the bud. But what of the seed, with its predetermined program of physical transformation? What about the invisible, therefore spiritual forces which gradually develop its form, color, and perfume? The word evolution speaks for itself. The origin of the present human race pre-existed in its parent race as a seed, in which lies hidden the flower of the next race. The ancestors of the present elephant and lizard may have been the mammoth and the plesiosaurus. Why should not the originators of our human race have been the giants described in the ancient Hindu Vedas or the book of Genesis? There are several keys to the mysteries, past, present, and future, of the 7 great root races and the 7 great cycles. Every symbol and allegory is said to have 7 keys, the 7 keys to the entrance of the door of the mysteries, and that each key must be turned 7 times.
Well, the ageless wisdom has been called the perennial philosophy as well. It's ageless because it's timeless. It's the same verities and truths that exist throughout all time. And the ageless wisdom teachings come through to us in many forms, through mythology, through various amanuenses who have been transmitters of the teachings from the hierarchy of the masters of wisdom, through the ancient Vedas, of course, through the spiritual traditions that exist universally. These various frequencies of the ageless wisdom teachings are available for people to plug into at whatever level of understanding that they have reached thus far in their soul evolution.
There are several other keys to this study that include psychology, physiology, metaphysics, astrology, and sacred geometry. The synthesis of even a few of these keys will shed light upon the evolution of consciousness in the human kingdom, the purpose of the human soul, and its existence. For many, to be told that the age of thinking humanity is around 18.6 million years may invite some disbelief or even derision and ridicule. Such is the state of Maya, or illusion, in which we all live, conditioned by thousands of years of wrong thinking, religious propaganda, ignorance, and lack of spiritual education. The somewhat overdeveloped concrete mind of humanity in this 5th root race is a particular liability. in that it does not recognize the subtle so easily, only that which is tangible. History, with its many evidences of past civilizations, is in a tangled and confused state. Humanity's approach to our past has imposed upon itself the limitations of dogmatic science and theology, ignoring the ancient traditions that hold the keys to many of these riddles. We live in a time of the approaching astronomical cycle of Aquarius, where the ancient mysteries will be reinstated after thousands of years of being hidden from the eyes and ears of the profane. Humanity stands at the doorway of initiation into the mysteries of history and higher consciousness. There are many isolated strands in history that can be drawn together. There are many facts that can be collated, especially those corroborated by direct as well as inferential evidence found in ancient literature and history. This is one of the fundamental purposes of the Hidden History of Humanity Project's books and video series. Much of this ancient literature is contained within the Hindu Puranas, the Upanishads, the Rig Veda, the Mahabharata, and the Ramayana. This is logical, for the Hindu tradition is the oldest of our current races. In the Puranas, the meaning and chronological order is very clear. We can count generations of the Manus and their series of incarnations as heroes in the old stories. The Manu sets the tone and type of any given race in terms of its evolutionary goal. The ancient book of Manu gives a complete